Today is Monday, October 14th, and the time is 6:26, and I'll call to order this regular meeting of the Town of Mead Board of Trustees. Roll call, please.
Mayor Whitlow.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Pelziski.
Here.
Trustee Adams.
Here.
Trustee Babcock.
Here.
Trustee Broadhead.
Here.
Trustee Harris.
Here.
Trustee Hatch. Mayor Whitlow, today is Monday, October 14th, 2019, and you do have a quorum.
Thank you very much. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, next is our review and approve agenda. Is there any changes to the agenda tonight? Okay, is there a motion to approve the agenda?
I move to approve tonight's agenda.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Next is public comment. We will take public comment now for any item, whether it is on the agenda or not, unless it is scheduled for a public hearing. Please limit your comments to 3 minutes. You may have 5 minutes if you are representing a group. Carmen will act as our acting town clerk and will call up those who have signed in. All right. Next is a consent agenda. It's acted to one motion and a vote. Is there a motion for the consent agenda tonight?
I move to accept the consent agenda.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you very much. Next is the bills list. Is there a motion to approve the October 14th bills list?
I make a motion to approve the October bills list.
Second.
Any discussion? Okay, roll call, please.
Mayor Pro Tem Pelziski.
Yes.
Trustee Harris.
Yes.
Trustee Hatch. Trustee Adams.
Yes.
Trustee Broadhead.
Yes.
Trustee Babcock.
Yes.
Mayor Whitlow.
Yes. Thank you, motion carries. Next on our agenda is old business. This will be the grants for community organizations and be presented by our town treasurer, Denise Rademacher.
Good evening, trustees. Denise Rademacher, town treasurer. So before you have the AIS. On September 24th, staff met with Trustee Adams and Trustee Babcock to facilitate. You know, I don't think we did much facilitating. You all basically, knew what you wanted to do. Sat in on a meeting with them to award the grants to those organizations that had presented applications. So what you have before you is 2 options that they came up with. Option 1, which was to basically average out how much people you all had recommended for each of the organizations. As you can see, a lot of your amounts were the same as other trustees. We just did 1 through 7 so that you all wouldn't say, well, why did you give, so we kind of left it a little anonymous for you. And the other option was to fully fund all of the grant requests with the exception of the Mead Chamber and the Mead Rotary. And those 2 were removed. The Rotary was removed because the trustees felt that the application that they submitted did not exactly fulfill the grant eligibility requirements and the purpose of the grant. I think the general impression was if they had presented for some other specific thing, like to send a RILA student to a RILA, young RILA leadership camp, that type of thing would have more fulfilled the grant criteria. And the other one, the Mead Chamber, there was a thought put out there to readdress and go back to the way we handled the chamber in the past, i.e. entering into the chamber into a contract with them. So that thought was put out there also. So if you remove those 2, the other option was to remove both of them, grant out the full funds to the other organizations that had requested, and then deal with those 2 organizations on a side note. So those are the 2 options that the trustees came up with. And at this point, I'll give it to trustee Babcock and trustee Adams to maybe discuss the process they went through and some of the logic that they used in awarding what they thought was the best.
Before you sit down, can I just ask you really quick, so
Uh-huh.
the contract with the chamber, see, I wasn't here, so can you explain that a little bit more?
Either I can or the mayor, if she wants to jump in. In years past, we had entered into a contract with the chamber, and it was usually for around $7,500. And for that $7,500, the chamber was tasked with completing X, Y, and Z. And so they had a bunch of duties that they were to do. One of them was to publish the business directory. One was to sponsor some events and hold things for the town and things like that. So there was a whole laundry list of items that the chamber was expected to accomplish with that funding. And it was on a year-to-year basis. And so that's how it was done in the past.
So that money came out of the general fund then?
Exactly.
Okay.
Yes.
And I can go back just a couple of years, that's what, 6 years, 7 years, that it's been going on that way. And we decided the year before, I don't know if I can remember, we went to the grant way of doing things versus a contract versus the same thing. So basically it was a laundry list of things, not only events, but it was more of a business partnership with the town, with the business directory and, advocating for the businesses. Another arm of economic development, because we don't have an economic developer on board now. So that was kind of the gist of the contract it was the business partnership, and it's on the website too as a business partner. So that gives a little bit of background. So it was $7,500, which included help with insurance, because insurance is a huge amount of money. Plus, events that were collaborative with businesses and the town of Mead. So that gives a little bit of background.
I really like that idea.
Well, so what David and I, if I may, what we thought was, let's just pull the chamber out, because obviously now that we have all these people coming for grants, really should they be getting a grant? But we also left this as, tonight we wanna focus on grants, so what we do need to decide, do we wanna pull the chamber out? Do we wanna give them grant money, or do we wanna pull them out and then discuss tonight or at a later date, doing a contract with them? So that was the thought process with them, and then we pulled the Rotary off because we didn't think it met eligibility requirements, but have asked them to reapply, thank you, the next cycle, better meeting the requirements. So with the chamber, we definitely, this I think is something we all need to talk about and maybe even do some research. I know last year we all kind of did some research when they came and asked for the money, and then we gave the money, and then we took the money away, and it all went crazy like that. So that with the chamber arm, it was like, let's take that off, especially because we had all these other organizations meeting, requesting the grant money. Let's talk about doing a partnership, a business partnership with them, because that's more appropriate for that. I don't know if that helps.
No, I really like that. I think that the chamber does so much for the town and businesses here, and they're very important. And I do think that us, I don't know how to say it, treating them as that at their level of importance that they should be.
Yeah.
I feel like entering into a contract with them at that level is kind of, does that make sense?
Yeah,
Treating them
better.
importantly, yeah, we're treating them better, as opposed to them having to come to us every year and
Right.
beg us for money. We're gonna be like, hey, you serve an important role in our community, and here's how much we're gonna, we're gonna work with you, and here's how much I really like that idea a lot, of doing it that way versus.
Sorry, Denise.
I did
versus
wanna-
versus the
sorry.
grant.
For at least 10
I
minutes,
did
I'm
want
sorry,
to throw
Denise.
one thing out there that you all had discussed, on the Mead Middle School.
I was just gonna bring that up.
Okay, then you can do it.
Okay, well, so with the two options, we tried to, there was a lot of back and forth, and oh my gosh, wait, if we were in a board meeting and it was a vote, 4-3 would win, so we went that way with some, and then I was like, well, wait a minute, we need to bring this back anyway. So that's why there's the two options. The first option is taking, in the worksheet that everybody filled out, you all gave numbers, and if you didn't, there's a big old dash. That's why that dash is there. That's somebody saying 0, or not necessarily 0, but like with the chamber, some people said, I don't wanna give them zero, but I don't want it from the grant fund, so that's what that big old dash is. But that first option is just going, okay, if we take everybody's number that they put out there and averaged it, what would we come up with? So, but with the Mead Middle School, chorale, they are sending students. So what we did was, how much is it to send one student? Because they kind of said, we might have 10, we might have 5, we did it, and we were like, oh, hold on. So what we did is we figured out a per student thing, and what we would like to talk to the board about is saying, we will fund, and whatever the board decides tonight, per student is the $311.25. But right here we're saying we will fund up to 3 students. If 3 make it or 10 make it, we will fund 3. If 1 makes it, they get $311.25. So if 1 makes it, they don't get the $800. That is kind of our way of saying, we're gonna fund a student to go. So per student, it's $311.25. So what we looked at is the average of what everybody said they wanted to give them was almost 3 students, so we just said, let's bump that up to, we would like to fund 3 students to go to the state honor choir, whatever that was. So that's what that first option is. And then the second option was pull chamber off, pull Rotary off. What money do we have? Oh, we have the 8,600. Fund them all because we have it, and we funded the low end of Mead High School boosters. They asked for 1,000 to 2,000. We gave them 1,000, mostly because of their laundry list and what we were giving everybody else. That seemed most appropriate.
Plus, they didn't give us anything what that money was
Exactly.
going to.
I mean, it was a little more. Well, they did a laundry list of what they do, but it wasn't for one specific thing. So that's why we went with the low fund. So tonight, what we want to know. Do you guys want to go with option 1 and just average it, or do you want to go with option 2?
I just got one.
And what are your questions?
The Mead booster,
Yeah.
did we give them money last year? I wanna say
No,
no.
last year was Mead Elementary School
That's what I thought it was 0 last year.
and Mead,
They didn't come to us, yeah, I don't think so.
we did Mead Elementary School pack
Mead Motorheads.
and Mead Motorheads and the chamber,
Chamber,
just
yeah.
3 last year.
It was $250.
Yeah,
For the
and the Mead pack was $250 last year, and they've asked for $500, and so we did, David and I, and, Jamie and Denise really did dig into, then we went back to what they're asking, exactly what they're asking, what they use it for, how they use it, what else who else gives them money, those kind of things. But it really went back to, if we take the chamber off, even without the Rotary, if we left the Rotary on, if we took the chamber off, we now have the money to fund what they've asked for, and what are they asking for, is it appropriate? And we deemed, okay, option 1 is kind of just with the numbers you guys gave, knowing that we all gave those numbers, thinking that we had way more requests than we had money. And option 2 was, let's talk about the chamber and then talk to Rotary, let them know why they were denied, but ask them to reapply in the future, so.
Well, I do like the idea of the RILA. The RILA.
Right.
I mean, that would be super because it's always coming out,
Right.
we're always fundraising for these young
And
kids
it's
that
They
are
need to
expensive.
they need to
Yeah.
ask
Yeah.
for a specific, and,
Yeah,
they asked for marketing, which isn't in our grant criteria, and that's why we just said we cannot fund them. So that was our thought process. We did go round and around, and, I mean, none of this was taken lightly.
No,
It was
very
a
good discussion.
2-hour meeting, so, but yeah, if you guys have questions, let us know, but that's what our thought process was.
Tricia, let's go with you.
Well,
Your light was on.
yeah, sorry, I just forgot to turn it off, that's my bad. No, I like the idea of taking the chamber off, like I said, and actually entering into a contract with them. Taking the Rotary off, that's fine, if we're gonna do that, I understand why you guys took them off. So, I would say we have the funds for all the rest of the requests, we should do it. I'm for option 2.
Would you prefer to do the $311.25 per student? Or just spread
You
them?
know, I feel like
Or
even
was
if they didn't have enough students go, I don't think that money would be misused. I mean, I think that they would put it towards maybe instruments, or, so I feel like that money would be used in another useful way.
For option 2, with that, we did decide what the per student option was, but option 2 was just funding
Right,
everybody.
but I didn't know, I mean,
Yeah.
we can always.
No, we could, and
It's
we
up
can
to
easily
us
put
to
it in
do
there
it.
saying, here's your grant, we hope you use it, I mean, there is no requirements that they use it exactly how they've asked us to use. But with option 1, we said we're funding 3 students, and if only one goes, we're only giving you the 311. So that is definitely up to the board to say, we will fund the 1,700, we're gonna do the full fund, as long as those 10 students go, but, or you can say, like you said, it's a music program, it's not like they have a lot of money
Exactly.
just hanging out for everything else, so,
Yeah.
good, that's a good catch though.
David?
As far as which option,
Mhm.
I'm for option, sorry, I'm for option 2.
Joyce?
I never like, oh, I'm sorry. I feel with our budget and what is going on in our town, personally, I don't think we should ever, fund 100%. My thought, I like option 2. Maybe the $311.25 per student times, 10 would be 3,100, so I would like to fund maybe up to
Let me clarify
5.
that, Joyce. That 1,700 was applications for
Yeah, I know.
25, and then sending up to 10. So the 311.25 was a round figure of what, it wasn't even exact, I don't know, Denise or Jamie, it was an application fee, it was everything and room and board, everything one student would need to get through the process, but they're not actually asking for everything for 10 students to get through the
Right.
process. That's why it's not for 3,100, it's
Yeah.
the 1,700, because they're asking for this many kids to apply, this many kids sheet music, and then it starts whittling down. So that's why that's
Right.
not that limit.
I like option 1 minus the chamber and the rotary. And I don't know, and I guess if I was gonna pick between the 2, I would take 1 and take the chamber and the rotary out of it and fund that portion, because that's how I run my life, and I feel that the constituents of this town, that's just my preference. I can't explain it all, but that's what I would do. I would take option 1, chop off the chamber, the rotary, and give them that, and I would, and then with the chamber, I hope when we do the agreement with them, we make it very business specific. They are working with businesses in the town, growing businesses, working with businesses, doing things like that, period. That's their function in life. And the Rotary's kind of a service organization, and they go do their thing. That's the option I would pick, and that's it.
Deb?
I'm gonna go with Joyce's, ideas, taking the chamber off and the rotary and going with, option 1.
I lean towards option 2 because we have grant funds, 4 grants, that's all it's for, we can't fix the roads with it. So I'm with option 2 and discussing the chamber, and in getting an agreement, a business agreement, a contract with them, because it's like Tricia was saying, it's something they deserve, and they don't need to come and grovel for funds every year when they clearly are an asset to the town and the town's events and our community, so.
Okay, my turn. And I'm very transparent, I'm number 5. I took the chamber off and I took the rotary off because I'm both part of those entities. I did give, you can see my line items all the way across, this 805 is kind of a weird thing.
Where are you?
I'm number 5.
Oh, okay.
So the reason why I did some of these things, the way I did them, and I'll just tell you why I did most. 250 was my thought process, since they made $22,000 in one night. That is the most extremely well what a wonderful night for them. I understand that Scooter Hinge raised their rates, and I'm okay with giving them a little bit more than that. That's my reasoning behind it, is that they, are doing the same thing this year. Hopefully they'll raise the same amount or more. I feel that our contribution, and I do have an invitation, from them tonight on something else. The 805 was basically taking, the food, out and some of the other amenities and giving them opportunities to, make sure that they were there.
Yeah.
I think food from their parents should be weighed in on this. The PAC, the veteran, since I'm a veteran, I go to that breakfast every morning. I didn't feel it was very worthy of the taxpayers to pay for their decorations. The decorations were almost, $200 or $300. I basically thought that that the grants would be for the food items, and the drinks for that morning. The $500, I didn't get anything out of that. I think the Booster Club does a great job. I just didn't see the efforts on what that money was gonna be used for. The Mead Motorhead, I know it's a one-day event. These few people that put on that day, they don't take any, there's no profit whatsoever. All this money goes to is just that day. So that's how I ran across that whole scheme. But listening to everybody, I'm game for whatever you guys wanna do. But I just wanted to give you some of the background of why I gave such, not less money, but my reasoning behind some of my thoughts. Making sure that, we as a board, can do the full funding. I just wanna make sure you guys understood why I thought maybe we shouldn't be, paying for people's food and their decorations. So, I'm all for option 1/2, because of that. So, I'm gonna go down the road now because we've been here for 48 minutes past. Does anybody else wanna talk about anything else? Okay, Tricia.
I will be abstaining from voting because I am on the Rotary.
The Rotary's not in it anymore.
Well, it depends on what
Well,
you
sure.
take, but I move that we take option 1 and minus the chamber and the Rotary out of it and fund those organizations that way with the $311.25 going per student, up to 3 students.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Trustee Adams,
No.
trustee Hatch, Mayor Pro Tem Palazzolo,
Abstain?
trustee Harris,
No.
trustee Rodman,
Yes.
trustee Babcock,
No.
Mayor Whitlow.
No. All right, is there a second suggestion?
I move to approve option number 2, taking out the chamber and the Rotary, fully funding the Mead Elementary PAC, Mead Middle School Choir, Mead Middle School PAC, Mead High School Boosters at $1,000, Motorheads fully.
Second?
Roll call, please.
Trustee Adams,
Yes.
trustee Babcock,
Yes.
trustee Rodman. No. Trustee Hatch, trustee Harris,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Palazzolo,
No.
Mayor Whitlow.
Yes. The motion passes.
Can I change that to abstain? Please, thank you.
Yes.
On behalf of the board, thank you. Jamie, thank you, Denise. Thank you. And thank you, Dave. Thank you.
Taking that on.
Thank you.
I
know
know
it's-
Denise for the awesome spreadsheet.
Yeah.
He is awesome at
And all the mathematician magic stuff.
It is hard because each one of these organizations are near and dear to everyone in this room and beyond, as parents, grandparents, citizens, and us. I think it's very important that we don't discount next year's. I think that before we do the next grant organization request, I think we need to look back on what our criteria is and lessons learned, because this is our first year doing this. making sure that clearly when people fill out the paperwork, they know what to expect.
Yes.
So, and then, will you be the person, or who is the person who
I was going to transfer this over to maybe the Erica Harper realm.
Okay.
In the community development, community engagements department.
Okay.
I think that'd be more up her alley to take this one on and not have.
Alright, and then I'll defer the contract language to,
Who's gonna contact the chamber and
Well,
let them
I
know
think
and how we're proceeding
we
with
need to
them?
discuss, like, the contract, how much we wanna give them. It would be nice to have them here, so it can be a good discussion.
right,
Yeah,
but I think you guys, I think trustee Adams and trustee Babcock, along with Helen in the chamber, can go and do that by themselves, bring back the contract to the board on the next meeting, and then we can approve it. Because it's getting to the point where people have to set budgets now.
Yeah.
You know, so I think that if you guys are okay with that, since we can't, well, I can't, but I'm just saying, you already know a little bit about the background, I don't know.
so go hash out, have another meeting, but with the chamber and discuss
And Helen.
contracts and then bring it back. I'm good with that. Can I add to, for next year, this process actually went fairly smoothly for I think all of us deer in the headlights of, oh my gosh, all these people asking for money, but the worksheet that you made, Denise, right? Thank you. I don't think any of us utilized it quite the way, because we all had to go home and do everything, but if we know it's coming, and like you said, review the criteria, be able to go through what people are asking, it'll be a lot easier to sit here and listen and now ask better questions, and that worksheet, I think, once we see it prior and can refresh ourselves, will be really helpful, and if anybody else has input, I mean, this process, people are, know that we have grant money to give, and they're gonna come asking, and it would be nice to get it to be where, it really is, like, we can ask them questions, cause there were a few questions where like, oh, maybe, should we be asking them? No, it's right here, so, just to refine the process,
And,
but.
and Helen can find the old contracts to bring to you guys to look at.
Okay.
So, I mean, you guys can go from there, so. Anything else on this subject? Alright, we'll go on to elected officials, town trustees, anything? No.
The small town communities, I have some information I'll be forwarding to Mary to forward on to the trustees on, the presentations we had and the couple we had after Mayor Whitlow left were probably the better ones, like Flo said, they were, I mean, it was suburbia, and it was, the gentleman knows the Red Barn developer, and that's kind of his forte, and it was a very good presentation, and I think it would be good for us as, trustees to look at what communities do to incorporate their farming and that quality of life, because that is part of need. And then, the other thing was, I had brought up a couple months ago, or a couple weeks ago, the, right to farm community, and trustee Babcock and Mayor Whitlow said that we had signs in town on roads, and they went out and they couldn't find, we don't have them. So I would like us, I think it behooves us, again, this is a farming community, to recognize that and put it on some of our roads where our farms are at, or where the traffic is traveling, so that, there's one over by Walmart on 119 for Longmont, but I just think it would be a very nice gesture, and it should be something we do. We are a right to farm community, and we say we are. And if we're not, then we should say we're not.
Well, we can't say we're not. Weld County's right to farm county, but with that, I would rather we look at Weld County and see if they would provide the signs, because Weld County is a right to farm county, and therefore they rule, we can't say we're not a right to farm community, because we're in a right to farm county.
Well, and so maybe we could direct staff to, do that for us, reach out to that.
Look into it.
And then, is staff also gonna reach out to our attorney about the pros, the fire? Do we wanna make a motion to make sure that staff reaches out to find out if that's even an option to, for them or not for them.
I thought that's what the
Well, we
two
weren't gonna-
trustees were gonna do the meeting and hash out the details and try to move
Oh,
forward.
see, I was thinking.
We can always ask Marcus and his firm to talk to the fire district attorney.
Yeah, I'm just
Because
saying
those-
just to get it, that thing moving, and then all the other stuff they can hash out, but that could be, I mean, one.
You're talking about asset, you're not talking
Yeah.
about anything else.
Yeah, but
Right, but when you guys get together, it might be, oh, that's not even an option for the town, I mean, it would be good to know. It may be a 5-minute telephone call, or it might be a 5-month process, but if it's a 5-minute telephone call, at least when you have the meeting, could be something that happens, or it could not be. I mean, that's just my thought, or not, I'm just saying it might be a way to help move some stuff forward, or not. That's,
no, that, I think that Linda said we already own the fire wagon.
I'll tell you,
yeah.
because
Did
I'm on the
she?
I'm on the fire board.
Okay, do we not own it? We do not, okay. So I was
We,
just-
as in the town of Mead, because in the AIS it says the town of Mead owns it.
yeah, that's why I'm
Wasn't that in
confused.
the, or was that in Gene's thing?
That was,
I might have been confused.
I don't,
Yes,
I'm
that
probably,
was-
maybe I am too, cause it sounded like we
But I-
already owned it.
But I think
You're
that
saying we
if,
do
but I
not.
think we need to double check to make sure that it's legal between Marcus and.
Right.
and it's something that they could work on before we have the meeting, cause maybe by the time you have the meeting, it's gonna be like, oh yeah, you guys can have it, or no, it's not gonna happen, at least it's something to take to that meeting today. I mean, on the day you decide to have it, that would be my thought process, just to get it moving. It's either a go or it's a no-go.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Can I ask a question? Is there consensus on the board, and maybe this is premature, but is there consensus that you want to pursue the fire wagon display, before we engage our attorney and?
My personal opinion is, it's not art in the park if it's and I'll tell you right now, the truck is not movable. You can't go in a parade, you can't, it's, there's some background on that it's being held for a fire museum someday. So, I don't wanna have a dialogue with somebody, I don't wanna make my position and a different hat different than what that is. I don't, it's, plus the cost of the whole thing of the shed, I think that we have, a beautiful park that we could do something else with. So, I'm just weighing out the cost of the shed, the foundation, the movement, the whole thing of, it's almost like the handyman thing. We tried to save it, we couldn't save it, we had to get rid of it, it costs more to try to save it than but that's my personal opinion here at the dais tonight, is I personally do not want to do it, because I know we don't own it, and that's my personal thing, so, but I will defer.
My opinion is that if we have to build a building for it, that's gonna be too much. I wasn't sure what exactly the status of the thing was. Is it going to be like a museum display, or versus something that you could take out and actually
Put it in a parade.
So I wasn't sure where I stood on that, because I didn't have enough information to make that decision. But if we're seriously, if it has to have a building to display it in, no, I'm not on board for that. That's gonna cost way more than it would be worth to me.
Yeah, if it's gonna be, they want it for a museum, it sounds like.
That's not, I did.
I think if they're holding stuff for a museum, that it's better there than us building a building. They'll have more to put in there with it. And that, so, too expensive to have to build a building without the truck. Or wagon.
My initial thought was, there's $5,000 in the art budget, there's no, you can't get tough shed, right? Especially one with windows or plexiglass or secure or just to display. So art in the park is not to build a museum for the one thing, and obviously, we don't even know if we own it, and if the fire department's keeping it for a museum at some point, that really is more appropriate use of it, so I don't think it's something, I think it needs to be told to the pros that that is not art, and it's a nice idea, but it's outside the realms and way outside the budget, so.
And I know her heart's in the right place, you know.
Right,
I mean,
it
you know,
was a
it's
good
just-
idea, but once you really look at the nuts and bolts.
But I'm not gonna argue, I'm not gonna, you know.
Yeah, okay,
So no, I don't think we should have staff
okay.
get our attorney to even look into it because there's just not the money
Yeah,
to do the scope of
I
it.
agree, especially with the information from Mayor Whitlow now. So we know the direction, they know the direction for their meeting on that subject
Yeah,
matter.
we need to let them know ASAP so that they do not put any more effort into that and then feel like we're shooting it down after they've done a lot of work.
Right.
So if we've all decided right now that this is a no-go, too expensive, does not fit the $5,000 Art in the Park budget, then please somebody let them know as soon as possible that this has been nixed and they can then
Do you need
look
a
into their other
motion
things.
from us?
Well, they really haven't
No,
presented,
no.
they haven't really presented it yet.
So then
So-
we would just want Mr. Kennedy tomorrow night to tell them that the board has decided this evening. I guess they can watch it on video.
I mean, even if they were to get grants and stuff,
Yeah,
I
no,
cannot
it's
foresee
really
us
out of the
getting
realm of
anywhere
art
near
in the
enough
park.
for
Yeah.
something like that.
Yeah.
Any
So,
suggestions
No, it's
have
a
already been
no-go.
beaten up enough tonight.
I know, so I guess you'll give them the direction tomorrow evening
Or
on
the acting
that.
Happy to do that, if that's the pleasure of the board, I'll already be there.
It is
tomorrow
the
night,
pleasure of
so.
the board, and I guess if they have questions, they can watch the end of the video. And they can see what we have decided and why. It's a cost issue.
I'll see if the chief can loan me a flak jacket. No, I'll take care of it.
All right,
Or we
thank you.
could ask the acting town manager just to shoot off a quick email to them, so you can dodge the bullet completely.
There you go.
I do have,
Yeah, that's a
question.
good idea.
This is-
Erica,
This is
yeah.
an official answer, does it need to have a motion? I mean, is this an official?
No, I think we just direct staff to
Yeah.
tell the pros committee that we've looked into their list and one of the things due to cost that we decided not to pursue that, for them not to pursue it. So, anybody else? Okay, I have just two things. Remember, get your stuff to the dump.
I picked up my
Get your stuff
permit
to
tonight.
Okay, and then I have a sweet email from Jessica Adams, who tonight received PAC money. She wanted to make sure that she invited, all the board of trustees to meet elementary school Harvest Moon Festival. We love the relationship you are building with our young community and hoping that you will be able to join us for our fun on Thursday, October 24th, from 4:30 to 7 at the Mead Elementary School parking lot. As you might know, that this is an annual event for our school and the town of Mead. You are more than welcome to bring your own families to play games, eat food, and have fun. The event is free except for food purchases through the invited food trucks, as they will be donating a portion of their sales back to the school. And then if you have any questions, she put her name and her email up. So, but I thought that was pretty special that she invited the board of trustees to the Harvest Moon Festival, so I just wanted to make sure you all were invited.
It's a fun time, I will give you that.
And it's October what?
October 24th, Thursday,
Next Thursday.
and I will ask for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Is that-
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed? Oh, good. We're adjourned at 7:04. Thank you, Carmen, for being here tonight.
Thank you, Carmen.